Hello, welcome. My name is Mimi Hicklin. I'm the program coordinator at the Charter for Compassion, and I am so happy to be here with you all today for this session in our Compassionate Communities webinar series. We've been doing this program now for a little over a year, highlighting the incredible work that's being done in charter communities across the globe. I love this program because I love getting to touch base with our community's steering groups and members. But I'm also really jazzed about it because I think that it is a very valuable resource for you, whoever you are, wherever you are in your community initiative, however you're connected, whatever stage you're in. While no two communities are identical, in taking a really deep dive, we can find our commonalities, make connections, share best practices, and offer support. So I hope that you find it to be as fun as I do. Today, we will be hearing from St. Louis. They have prepared an in-depth presentation about their community objectives and operations for you, and I'm really excited for you to get to see that. First, I do want to take care of some housekeeping. Recording this webinar, so everybody who signed up will receive a link to that recording following the presentation. I also want to invite you to open up your chat, which is at the bottom of your Zoom screen, a little chat icon. And feel free to leave any comments or questions. Let us know where you're calling in from there. There will be some time at the end of the presentation for some Q&A. And so I invite you, whenever something pops into your head that you'd like an answer to just drop it in chat and I will pose it to the team at the end of the session. And I think that that's it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the St. Louis team.
I need the webinar. Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you from the heartland of the United States of America. This is St. Louis talking, and I greet you from all the people here. I'm Carla Mae Streeter. I'm the convener for the Compassionate St. Louis movement. And today we're going to just walk you through a couple of the things we are doing, but just keep in mind, we're at the earliest part of our becoming a compassionate city. So you're not going to be hearing anything that's a total finished product at all here. So we learned about Compassionate St. Louis from Karen Armstrong at the 2009 Melbourne Parliament of World Religions. I was there and carried it home to St. Louis, met with the Interfaith Partnership with whom I worked, and we decided that because our city so suffers from PTSD from the Civil War, we're in the heartland of the United States with cardiac arrest, you might say. We have a PTSD of racism and redlining and, you know, the whole story. So we are in process of trying to become a healed city, a healed region. Also, just need to know that we are a region. We're not just a city. We are a county of 88 suburbs, and then the city of St. Louis, and then we have we call across the river. This means folks who come across those bridges every day to work and to have fun and to engage in sports. So that's who we are. And I want to introduce you to who we are. The us that you're going to be meeting with this morning will be myself first. I'm going to just give you a sketch of kind of how we are organized and how we work. And then I'm going to introduce to you Therese Messman, who's a businesswoman who is really, getting her feet wet in being in charge of our outreach program. And third, we're going to introduce to you Ed Madden, who is our web designer and the guy who has made all of our external stuff available to get people interested. So that's who we are, and that's how we're going to uh, address you today. Our objectives, first of all, I'm just going to talk about one primary objective, and it sounds like pie in the sky. It is, we want to be one of the 10 cities on the Realtors Index for the 10 most compassionate cities in the USA. That's our main, what you might say, objective. Okay, our goals are really, first of all, we have three. We want to increase our partner endorsers to about 500 organizations and individuals by the end of this year. And T will tell you how we're going to do that. We want to obtain commitment to the charter form. That's what we ask. We ask them to sign on virtually to that form, that charter, and post it so that they can be held accountable as they bring their organizations and their families onto living by the principles of the charter. So this means St. Louis County, you got it, and St. Louis City, and you got it, the regions across the river. Okay, and so we want to increase our partner endorsers. We want to obtain commitment to the charter. We want to establish area co-conveners. Now, let me just tell you what that means. What that means is we have 3 areas. So we would like to have a co-convener for each of those 3 areas to work with the convener. So you've got a team there already, drawing from the bottom up. And these co-conveners would work with all of the cultural issues in their particular area primarily, but they're going to cross-reference because they know people who know people who know people. So they would have a team to work with. And so we are going to eventually invite leaders, lead partners for each of the cultural areas who would then work with that co-convener in the county, in the city, across the river. And there are the familiar areas that I think you recognize create a human culture in a city, village, or wherever. These are the areas that are the what you might say the whole system of how we interrelate as humans. So we're going to cultivate leadership, but with a special intention of filling each leadership role as people move out in retirement and so on. We are looking to a sustainability. We would like to be sure that that those roles don't flop when somebody says, well, I can't do it anymore. I'm moving to Georgia or I'm moving somewhere. So we're doing that with a conscious intention, okay? And so as we move on, we hope to be able to pass the torch to someone else. Our strategy as we move is really threefold. It's really quite simple. Our strategy for this beginning is to raise awareness. That's the first. We want to raise awareness because we need then to build a base, and then we want to celebrate through virtual or real town halls where we shout out a group that has already been making some progress so that we give them publicity and give them marketability. We want to promote that. So what you might say our basic reason for being is we're going to promote a change in the attitudes in an area that is very much working on woundedness, and it's going to influence the civic behavior of the people in the entire region. That's our goal, that our operating principle. In other words, when we go talk to the mayor, we're going to tell them we're not going to work on all these task forces. we're going to ask all the task forces to sign on the charter so that they have a guiding principle attitude change to do policy, to do budget, to do whatever. The St. Louis region then hopefully will shine eventually when measured by the metrics used by those who rate the cities. Now, what do they rate a city by? They rate a city by psychological well-being, community vitality, community disparities, health, ecological resilience, governance, educational attainment, standards of living, compassionate business. The goal is to make this place a place where you want to live. Okay? What do we need immediately as we foresee our progress here? We've got to get new partners endorsers. That's going to be what Therese is going to talk to you about. We want to present Compassionate St. Louis to get proclamations from the county executive, from the city mayor, and from the person who takes care of the region across the river, some prominent city across there for that region. So that's kind of what we're after. And then we want to seek out leadership for our co-convener positions. Those people have to be chosen carefully. They have to be excellent leaders who know how to shepherd others and to make enthusiasm just thrive and get people on board. All right, what else? We need really to seek out the lead partners who are going to work under those co-conveners. The lead partners are in charge of education, and they know everybody in the schools to contact. Then we want to talk to some business leaders in the county so they can contact and help the co-convener contact the business leaders. These are grassroots people, and this is what we understand by what we call a constellation model, that we don't tell people how to be compassionate. We let them tell us how they are planning to work within their business or their specialty. We want to cultivate an intense pass the torch mentality. So we want to be sure we do sustainability as we go. Now, our key personnel are very, very interesting. These are the people who got us started and who keep us going. The coordinating circle are all of our partners and organizations who attend our monthly meetings as they wish. They always have a seat there to tell us what's going on, and then we feature them and listen at the meeting. It's like a small town hall, really. So let's take a look now at some of the starting people. These folks are the folks that slogged it through the strategic planning with our facilitator. There's myself, there's Dave Oughton, former president of Interfaith Partnership. Catherine is our researcher. She does the science of compassion. Then there's Philip. He's a master photographer. Then there's Jack Sisk. He has the Living Insight Center. He has a museum there for all the religions of the world where people can come and visit. I think it's maybe the first in the US. Then we have Batya. Batya is a born and bred leader of the Jewish community. And we have Beth Rodriguez, who works with youth and teen groups. And we have Meryl Walters, who's a communications expert for her faith and who has brought so many wonderful people on board. She's a master communicator. And then we have Steve DeSalvo, who works our Facebook page. So those are our what you call our founders. Then we have the people, the now people, the convener, myself. Then there's Therese, who's a co-convener, businesswoman. Then we have our finance officer, who's Dave Wenzel, and he works with Edward Jones. And we've got partners who have chosen to be sustainers through monthly donations. Then we also have Ed Madden with our web design. We have Mindy, who works with him to maintain the website. And then, as you see, she's assisted by Madeline Hamill, who's a St. Louis University student who is volunteering to do research on the international movement to feed the website so that we can list what's going on internationally. Then we have Steve with Facebook, and we have him assisted by Audrey, who's another student accomplice or communications assistant, and she does what we call the local tracking. She looks at what's happening in the other cities in the US with Compassionate St. Louis. So that takes us to our action plan. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Therese, and she'll tell you what we're up to as far as trying to make this work.
All right, and what do I need to do here? Okay, thank you. Great. Hi, everybody. Oh, what an honor to be with all of you. And dear Sister Carla May, I forgot to give her introduction, so I will retro introduce her. She is an amazing professor at the Aquinas Institute, which is part of SLU, St. Louis University. She doesn't know what retirement is. She has not retired ever. And I want to be like Sister Carla May when I grow up, because she's just a bundle of energy and fire for our cause for compassion in the city. I'm very grateful to be a part of this activity because it ties everything together. Compassion is at the heart of everything. It makes everything work well. And I believe, Jessa, are you hearing me? That world peace is about compassion. So let's get started. Ed's going to help me out here to get to the PowerPoint. And a couple of clicks, and he knows just what to do here. And we share. Well, just a little bit about me. I've been selling things since my Girl Scout cookie days. I sold Avon in college, went to work for a little company no one had ever heard of called Apple back in the 80s, and got my sales and marketing chops with them, and kind of learn as you go. I've had my own business for about 23 years, great mom business, and then I ramped it up with my own label about 12 years ago. I like to help people through a decision-making process. That's what selling is. It's guiding people through a decision-making process. So selling is teaching, and teaching is selling. Building your contact list. You might say, oh, I don't know who I can talk to about the Charter for Compassion. I just am not good at selling anything. Well, I'm going to let you know that you already have a host of opportunities. Businesses can be large corporations, that big shiny building down at the end of the road near the arch, or a small company. Small business is the engine of America's economy. Your company, either that one that you work for or your own company, that's going to be a contact for you to sign. And I know several of you out there that have your own businesses and you're not partners yet. So let's get on board. Entrepreneurs, a very interesting, fast-growing segment of the American business scene. And let's take a look at a rather amazing, wonderful, this is actually me, my business, Microfibers Unlimited. I have really felt guided step by step through being a mom and working it around my kids' schedules to now having more time to work the business more. But for the last dozen years, I have been working with a wonderful store in the University City neighborhood of St. Louis. And let's take a look at Deborah's Center for Mind, Body, and Spirit.
As importers of premium hospital-grade microfiber products for chemical-free cleaning, we are happy to serve compassionate businesses like the Center for Mind, Body, and Spirit in the University City neighborhood of St. Louis. Deborah Zarensky, a lifelong resident of St. Louis, trained in education and public health, founded this amazing business in the heart of the so-called Del Mar Divide. We still need lots of healing in our city, and lots of it happens here in her center. Her goal is on her homepage. We offer services to effectively support clients as they regain, maintain, and expand their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. We share a love for the environment. The Center for Mind, Body, and Spirit has a large variety of back-to-nature products that connect us with our compassion for Mother Earth. Candles, herbal teas, and lavender sachets fill the air with comforting fragrances. Even the jewelry shows compassion for the earth. Where else could you buy geode earrings? My favorite section of the store is the book department. Author Pierre Pradevand writes about the gentle art of blessing. If someone does you wrong, bless them anyway. Are you carrying old resentments? Let them go, and that will bless you. Deborah hosts many healing practitioners who show compassion in the form of massage, singing bowl therapy, acupuncture, and plain old-fashioned prayer. Her clients come in stressed and leave smiling and free. She has staying power. In 23 years of business, I've seen many natural product stores come and then go. The Center for Mind, Body, and Spirit has been a steady ship in the storm of recessions and COVID. What is her secret for success? Caring and compassion. When I stop into the center, I always feel seen, cared for, and understood. Caring for your community, even when someone has a bad day, is living compassion. And the Center for Mind, Body, and Spirit is full of compassion. She is living proof that a workplace of compassion is just good business.
Great. So moving on from business, government. Can't live with it, can't live without it, but we all have a government. And so call on your local reps and senators, maybe the governor, show them the charter, ask them to be that compassionate governor person. Also, your police and fire departments, they show a lot of compassion. Policing is a very difficult job. Here in St. Louis, there's a lot of conflict over the policing system. You know, the Michael Brown incident is known throughout the world. However, when I see a police officer in the store, I thank him for his service or her. And I think a charter for compassion could be helpful for all of us to work together. Education. We all went to school, starting in preschool, maybe through university, grad school. Talk to your alma mater, talk to your kids' alma mater. See who you can round up from the soccer team or from the principal from your kids' grade school. They're all showing compassion. Healthcare. It's not just the big shiny hospital building. And our first win actually in St. Louis for our partners program was Mercy Hospital. One of the people from the Interfaith Partnership, Carla, what is his name? Dave Otten, who's the current chair of the Interfaith Partnership, had some connection at Mercy Hospital. It's a huge system, all the way from the big shiny building down to the urgent care in the mall. They've signed on. Now Dave can go on over to Barnes Jewish Hospital and say, hey guys, got a little competition for you. How about you become compassionate too? And on through all the hospital systems. And let's talk, I'm gonna back up. Well, okay, a little more about healthcare. What does healthcare show up for you? Is it the chiropractor? Is it the primary care? In my faith, it would be the Christian Science practitioner. How about the massage therapist? There are so many ways that we deliver healthcare, the psychologist, the counselor. Think of them as partners and sign them up. Sports teams. Now, little secret here, folks. I'm from Chicago, but somebody else can talk to the Cardinals about their outreach and youth programs. You know, we did win the series a couple of years ago, but we'll give them some hope for the next time. And then how about the local soccer club? Any place you play or observe sports. I'm especially thinking of football teams at high schools. What a great place to learn to live compassion. The arts. This is special to my family. I have a musician and a dancer in my kid group. We have the dance and music schools, and I'm currently engaged in wonderful conversations with Center of Creative Arts, or COCA, where my daughter danced and where I enjoy taking classes, their adult classes. Music schools, piano teacher, they're showing compassion. How about the symphony orchestra? The St. Louis Symphony does terrific work with their youth outreach programs in underprivileged neighborhoods. Same thing with performance venues of all sorts. And speaking of, we have a group called Arts and Faith that sets up art shows and performance at the Sheldon Theater here in St. Louis. Let's hear from them.
Hi, I'm Laura Arnold, Chair of Arts and Faith St. Louis. Arts and Faith St. Louis is an organization that harnesses the power of the arts to bring diverse groups together for shared conversation, to bridge divides, and to help us live our shared values of compassion in the community. At Arts and Faith St. Louis, we were really fortunate to have Carla Mae Streeter come talk to us about the Compassionate Cities Project and to introduce us to what it meant. And what we understood, our planning committee, which is our organizational unit, what we understood was that this was an organization that shares our values, an organization that is interested in working toward more unity, more common ground, and absolutely demonstrating respect and justice and equity in our community. And so it was a pretty easy decision for us to become a partner with Compassionate St. Louis simply because of those shared values and then kind of ratification that there are other organizations doing what we're doing. So one of the really great things that happened to us as an organization in thinking about the Compassionate Cities Project is the timing of this partnership was really kind of inspiring. Just before we joined the Compassionate Cities Project, we had our annual concert just a couple months before. That annual concert theme was Songs of Compassion, because we knew that that's what the world needed from us as an organization, to think about and talk about how we treated each other as human beings, as valued human beings, as those that are worthy of equity and justice and fair treatment. And so when someone then comes to us and says, we'd like you to think about and join the Compassionate Cities Project, it was just a perfect partnership for us because that concert had demonstrated to us how open and in need of discussions and thinking about compassion our community actually is.
Great. And finally, media. We all probably listen to radio, TV, look at print media. For me, it's St. Louis Public Radio. It's really the soundtrack to my life. And they do an excellent job of informing me about local issues in St. Louis. That's showing compassion so we can take action. I will reach out to them as soon as we're done with this webinar. Communities of faith, that would be very low-hanging fruit because our synagogues, our churches, our mosques, they are places of compassion, both within the membership and without, doing outreach for the community. We have some very strong partners in the Muslim community who are doing great work with helping the needy, resettling refugees. And finally, individuals. Speaking of resettling refugees, we have the largest Bosnian community outside of Bosnia here in St. Louis because of the warm welcome we gave back in the 90s at a time when immigrants were viewed with less, shall we say, suspicion than they may be now. Let's take a look and listen to the wonderful Elvire, who works at Webster University, a resettled refugee who's paying it forward.
Hello, my name is Elvire Mandjukic. I'm originally from Bosnia and I've been in St. Louis since 1996. I came to this country after the war in Bosnia, and I work currently at Webster University as a faculty development coordinator. When we talk about compassion, the things that come to my mind start really from my childhood. I learned from my parents, my friends, my neighbors, that we all should be together, that we should reach hands of support to other people and just be there for them when they need us the most. When the war started, I continued doing such a work myself with other refugees. Throughout that time, while working with humanitarian agencies, I met various international humanitarians, and one of them, Aaron from United States, American Polish Jew, offered to sponsor my education. I was able to arrive to United States with the help of now my good friend Patrick from St. Louis University, a Catholic. I was able to find a host family, actually several of them. Some of them of Scottish or Irish Presbyterian descent, some of them of Catholic and Jewish descent. All of them welcomed me and provided home for me. While going through schooling, I met so many people of various faiths and cultures. Some of them, like my good advisor, Libby, Greek Orthodox. She was along the way helping me through my schooling and adaptation to American way of life. And all those folks helped me to feel comfortable, safe, and welcomed in my new world. And as my life continued, and many other American citizens of all backgrounds helped me settling in my first apartment, and later on through my marriage, and later on I decided to do the same thing with my own children. So one of the organizations, among many others, that I participated in with my children on volunteer work projects was House of Goods. Which has been established by a Muslim police chaplain and Islamic Foundation of Greater St. Louis. I'm trying through my work, both with my children, with my friends, colleagues, to encourage others to extend their hands of support to other neighbors, friends, community at large. I joined so many organizations. I met so many people in this city of St. Louis. And among many emails that I received from my dear friends, Sister Carla sent me an email about Compassionate St. Louis. I checked the website, I read about the mission, and I said, this is me. I want to join such a group of people who want to spread good and keep us all in inner circle as a family. I have been witnessing on media and in my life on daily basis what's going on with the people who lack things in their life. Coming to this country, trying to settle myself, witnessing other refugees settling, I have been helped by others bringing their own goods from their home and sharing it with me. Everything that we wake up surrounded with is missing in the lives of those people. I remember a story when Sister Carla, a good friend, sent an email through Interfaith Partnership, and I received this list, information about a lady from underserved community of St. Louis that she's trying to settle in a new state-provided home. And as Sister Carla reminded me, I reached out to House of Goods. In addition to that, I grabbed some stuff like I usually do, being reminded what others did for me when I needed help. And then I set off to that home. Sister Carla met me there with a lady. Shortly after the truck arrived, we moved the stuff with the helpers from this organization and settled the home for another person, a friend of ours. And it's a simple, grab what you have, find the time, and let's share good with others. When the war in Bosnia started, a lot of refugees started arriving to my city, and I jumped with other students to help them. When I arrived to the United States, even though I was not a refugee myself, there were so many refugees in this country. My family members, my friends to the present day, and all of them, including myself, kept helping others the same way they received help when they arrived to this country. And I would like to say, as I always tend to remind everyone, pay it forward. Do not pay back. Try to spread the good.
Wow, how inspiring. Anybody who thinks they're too busy to volunteer and be compassionate, take a look at Elvire and what he's doing with his life. Dad, full-time worker, and volunteer. Amazing. Now, why do we do this compassion outreach? And I sometimes need to zoom out and say, why do I get out of bed in the morning? What gets me going? Well, here are some things that compassion offers: respect, listening, integrity, protection, caring, peace, and love. This pulls it all together, people. It's the basis of every major world religion, the ethics, the morals, and uplifting these standards brings world peace. That's enough to get me going and get me out of bed in the morning. How do we do this? Now we're going to do sales training in 90 seconds or less. Warm calls are calling on people that you already know. The banker, the lawyer, the person you work with in your life, okay? Cold calls are calling on somebody that you find interesting, that you've never met before. Their business is interesting, or their organization. It may seem a little bit scary, but you know what? We're all people, we're all humans, and who would say no to compassion? So no, you're pre-qualified when you go in there because you got a great product. It's called Compassion Equals World Peace. A few tips as you're selling. Take your time. In the typical sales cycle, there may be 6 to 11 contacts before you get a yes. I would say it's a shorter cycle for what we have to offer because compassion doesn't need as much selling as some things like cars and houses. So it may take several calls. In the meantime, you're building trust. Ask that person questions. Do the Dale Carnegie thing of being interesting by curiosity about the other. How's your family? Tell me about your kids. Everybody likes to talk about their kids. Tell them about your kids. You find out they like cat videos, send them a cat video. Build trust. And maybe offer them a sales lead or an idea to help improve their business. Features. What is a feature? Okay, a feature of the Charter for Compassion is it gives a benchmark for harmonious living. What's a benefit to the Charter for Compassion? Well, your employees will get along better, or you'll have better relationships with your clients. You'll look good. Who doesn't want to do business with somebody who's a partner in compassion? Usually there's some objections and concerns people have. They often will not say them out loud. They'll just say, no, I don't think I have time for this. Handle them ahead of time. And there are two main ones that we run into. I don't have time for this. I've got so much on my plate, and I can't afford another financial commitment. Well, we have the answer to handle those things. You're not required to come to any meetings with the Compassionate St. Louis Project, and there's no cost to join. Would we love you to donate? Of course, but that's not something we're even going to talk about because that's a given. People know there's a donate button on the website. So be prepared with what you think they might object to, and then ask them, do you have any concerns or questions? And then listen to what they say. Don't start talking before they finish. Just listen and pause and deal with it as best you can. Summarize why it would be beneficial to them, why you feel they are already a partner in compassion and how they do business, and summarize for them what the benefits are for them. Compassion brings it all together. Finally, ask them, can we sign you up today? Or how about I leave you the link and I'll check in with you in a couple days or a week and see if you're signed up, if you have any more questions. The other day, I signed up my Just Desserts in Alton, Illinois, and I sat with the restaurant owner, Yvonne, and helped her fill it out. It took probably 2 minutes total, and I hit the submit button. So I knew it was off and away. Finally, enjoy the adventure of sharing compassion with a world that's crying out for it. St. Louis is the city where North meets South. Yes, the Civil War is still going on, as Carla May said, in St. Louis. Let's fix that. Let's heal that. Let's see this glass as half full, not half empty, and make a difference in your village. Now, by now, you should have a list of contacts. If you can't remember what I said, go back and listen to the recording and come up with a list of who you can contact to make a difference in your village, because it's so much more fun to do it as a team. And speaking of fun, you'll never work a day in your life if you love what you do. Work is not work when you love what you do. And I love what I'm doing with this volunteer work, and I invite you to share the joy. Next, I'd like to introduce Ed Madden, who is our communication expert. He has a long career in the world of public relations and advertising. He's really great at keeping me on message and keeping me brief. So I'm going to just turn it over to Ed.
About 27 minutes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Good morning. I got involved with Compassionate St. Louis because a business associate of mine said, would you be interested in doing a website for a friend or an organization I belong to? I said, sure, I'd be happy to look at it. Well, now I'm a member, and we produce a lot of things that help communicate what compassion is in the St. Louis area. So what I'd like to do now is walk through a brief presentation on how we're going about doing that. When I built the website, it was based on some basics that I understand about modern communication. You need to capture your audience. Whoops, hello. When you go to a website, you'll note that people generally take about 8 to 10 seconds to look for what they came for. If they don't find it, they move on to something else. So you have to make sure you're presenting that material to them right away. You have to give them a reason to stay. Give them something that they can latch onto, something that relates to them. And we've made it a point to make Join Us available on every page. That way you're constantly giving them the clue of how to get in touch. So just want to share with you, here's the homepage for the website. And we have a lot of different ways for people to connect, to learn more about. We put up our purpose, our principles, our vision, our goals, and our strategy to help them understand, as well as clicking links to bring them to the sign-up form and the chapter. When it comes to the website, try to keep it simple. This is, for example, the Who We Are page. This is who the partners are. This is the Science of Compassion. This is Join Us. It gives 2 forms that you can fill out, one for an individual and one for an organizational partner. And Donate, a very important page. We want to make sure that people have this at the ready at all times. And of course, events. Here are things that are going on currently. Here are things that are going to happen in the future, and even things that happened in the past if you want to learn a little bit about what had happened. You want to use email to invite potential members, and what we did is put together an email that can be shared with people you might want to invite. And we used a landing page with a video to help interest people in joining. We also include a link to the Charter for Compassion in that page, and a link to the website so that if they wanted to, they could just jump into that. And here's the video.
We share an unflinching resolve to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force to alleviate the suffering and promote the common good.
The principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical, and spiritual traditions, calling us always to treat all others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of our fellow creatures.
It continues, we therefore call upon all individuals to restore compassion to the center of morality and religion, to return to the ancient principle that any interpretation of Scripture that breeds violence, hatred, or disdain is illegitimate.
We urgently need to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force in our polarized world. Compassion is essential to human relationships and to a fulfilled humanity. It is the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of a just economy and a peaceful global community. At the end of this presentation, you will be able to download a copy of the Charter for Compassion to read in full.
Now more than ever, Compassionate St. Louis is committed to the Charter and to our vision for St. Louis.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Please join us.
Me too.
Lastly, talking about social media, good form of communication these days, you want to keep your branding consistent. And by that, I mean that whether it is your website, emails, or other social media outlets like Facebook, you want to make sure that you're presenting the same image in all of those different areas. So thank you. Appreciate your being here. And do you have any questions?
You should sidle up to the bar here.
Thank you all so much. That was informative, insightful, enlightening. We have a pretty quiet group here, but I once again welcome anyone attending this webinar to drop a question for the St. Louis team in the chat box. And I know that if we didn't have questions, Therese had a question for you all. So Therese, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, so I know you all were paying very close attention during my partner contact list building. Please let us know, maybe put it in the chat, 1 or 2 ideas of people, organizations, businesses that you will now be able to contact to partner with you in your compassionate initiative. Anybody here in St. Louis or anywhere around the world?
I'm going to give folks a couple minutes to respond to that, Therese. And I want to, Olivia asked a question here in chat, and I want to make sure we have a chance to answer that. So she is wondering what your greatest challenge was and how you overcame it, and what your greatest win that you are most proud of.
Greatest challenge? What would you say, Carmen?
I think, one in the chat, it asks us what our greatest challenge was. I think our greatest challenge, at least I'll speak for myself, is that this is such a huge venture. And what can a little person like me do? That sense of powerlessness is crippling to somebody when they try to even get a degree, or when they decide they're going to do service somewhere. A person has to deal with that. And you have to really personally say, next to that, I may be only a drop in the ocean, but doggone it, the ocean has a drop because I put it there. You can't do everything. You do your little thing, and then you get surrounded by wonderful people. And you end up doing things that you never dreamed were possible. Then you look back and you say, did we do that? So I just encourage you, when you really get bit by that fear or that lack of confidence, to gather people around you and just tell it to go where.
Yes, and can I add to that? I think my biggest challenge was when somebody pulled out. She didn't think she could be a partner because her sense of compassion involved more of a harsher sense of punishment than she thought what she thought was a faith-based group. And we're not a faith-based group. We're about business, government, etc. And my answer to that is, your definition of compassion may be somewhat different from mine, but it's valid for your journey. So as long as you're not breaking some commandment egregiously, like killing people or whatever, you can usually work up your own sort of mission statement such that it fits with the Charter for Compassion. Yeah. And there's a question about, may I join as an individual, even though I live in another state? Well, I'd like to say, maybe buy a Cardinals t-shirt and then you're in. What do you say, Carla May?
I'd say no way. No, but what Dee is getting at, I think, is you need to look at your closest city, or if it's a small town, and see who you can rally around you and do it locally. If you have heard from us, we had to begin that way too. You have to too. If you look on the Charter for Compassion website, under Communities of Compassion, you will find dozens of cities and villages and small towns who have begun this. So just bite the bullet, gather a few people, have lunch, and say, what do you think we can do?
Additionally, May, you're hired. You can do my spiel better than I can.
Well, I'll just finish with a story. When we were having Louisville help us, along with Ted Williams came Bernadette. Bernadette said, I came with him just to tell you my story. I'm a nurse. So I went to Ted and I said, Louisville is a medical town. We're not doing anything. And he looked at me and he said, Bernadette, do it. Do it. So I had lunch with 4 other nurses. And we had a conference the next spring of 400 nurses. And now they all carry a 3x5 card in their satchel. And it's the way they are going to deal with their clients according to the principles of the charter. That's the way, that's bottom up. That's
Yes.
what Constellation is.
And
Yeah.
Carla, May, I'm going to cut in because there's another question. Low hanging fruit.
I want to respond to Nancy really quickly.
Oh, sure.
Nancy, I would love for you to contact me, Mimi at charterforcompassion.org, to talk about getting involved with a community initiative close to where you are, or how you can be more involved with the Global Charter for Compassion. I can hopefully get you connected with folks in your area.
Yes, can I just say about Mindy's question about the get the food banks as well as the churches? I'm going to urge all of you. I know church people and mosque people, etc. We're all concerned about youth getting involved. Why are they not joining our churches? Why are they doing church in the woods? Bring them along with you when you volunteer at the food bank. Take them with you when you serve at the soup kitchen. I did that with my daughter. Sorry, Holly, I'm going to tell a story on you. And she'd been whining that day about not having a cell phone. She was maybe 7th grade. And when we got home from serving in the food kitchen, she said, Mom, I can't believe I was upset about not having a cell phone. These people have so much less. And she is now a social justice advocate in her 20s. And her brother is also very involved in his compassion work. So bring the kids along. I'll tell you, it's more important than the soccer club. It's going to make a lifelong better world for all of us if we have our youth with us in church, in the mosque, in the temple. So there we go.
Okay, we are coming up on our hour, and I see that our audience has become a little more interactive now towards the end. So I want to invite all of you, if you have any lingering questions or comments, or just want to get in touch, connect with the St. Louis team, send me an email, mimi at charterforcompassion.org, and I can direct you or answer the question myself. Again, there will be a recording of this webinar, so look for that in your inbox. And yeah, thank you all. Thank you for showing up, and thank you, St. Louis. I can't emphasize enough what a joy it is working with you, and I look forward to our continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Be in touch.